Hey, what's up? Another great show for you. Today I've got Coach Chino, the Fury Duran, down there at South Dade. If you know him, you know him. If you don't, he wrestled at South Dade, 99 to 2001, three-time team state champ member, two-time district regional champion, two-time state placer, two-time all-Dade team, NHSCA, second place, New Jersey, All-American with JUCO. He also wrestled at Eastern Illinois, and then he had a wonderful 12-year fighting career with 20 professional fights, and now he's coaching down at South Dade, which is a whole nother thing. 15 to 20 assistant wrestling coach, but he's taken over the girls and started to build the girls program over there, and it's been great. I mean, he was the boys assistant coach for 12 years. And now he's been the head coach of the girls now for 5 years, three-time conference titles, three-time district titles, three-time regional titles, and 11 women currently wrestling in college. So it's a lot to say, but once again, South Dade is doing their thing now on the female side. What's up, Chino, man? Thanks for coming on.
No, thanks for having me, Dan. I appreciate it. Appreciate all the love, man. You guys, especially with you being over there at the girls' state with the AAU. We weren't able to make that, but you being out there and giving the girls the coverage that they deserve, man, it's much appreciated. Trust me. Like I said before, your work isn't going unnoticed, so we appreciate it.
Yeah, it was really cool. I know Poseidon was there this weekend, but David Bush, the Bush brothers, they do so much for the girls wrestling in the state, and they always have these great tournaments, and they're always reaching out, but for some reason, either my son's got a tournament that same day, or I've been pre-committed. So I really wanted to make sure that that I got out there for the girls, for them. The coverage was good, man. I just love watching them, especially the little girls, man. They're out there scrapping.
Yeah, and that's something that Spartan does is lines up the little ones all the way against the big ones. It looks real funny when the little 3-4-year-olds are going out there to the captain's line, right, and shaking I have a picture of my big girls and shaking their hand, and I was like, it's adorable, man. I love it. But you're starting to see the Bush brothers have a lot to do with the sanctioning at the individual level with the girls. So they're doing a lot for the sport. They've done a lot for the sport. Coach Lindsay Dahl, of course, she's always up there and stressing equity when it comes to women in sports. So I love that about that program. As a matter of fact, I rely a lot on I'm not sure which one it's which, the more thinner one, the taller one, the athletic director, David, I think is his name. David, yeah. So David, I mean, I get in his ear and I take some advice from him too. Like, people seem to forget that we haven't been around long. Actually, like, we just started the program 5 years ago, right?
Right.
So I always like to listen and grow and ask for the people who have already been there, So
the little brother, of course, Michael's huge, right?
Big little brother.
But he doesn't like to. He likes to stay behind. I always ask him, "Hey, what's going on?"
Right.
I don't know. Ask David.
Right.
David tells me what to do.
All right.
And I go and do it. So I'm like, all right, no problem. But
yeah.
It's fun.
I've noticed that too. I was like, well, did I do something wrong?
He's just a quiet dude. Yeah, he's a quiet dude. I mean, obviously he can scrap, but he's a quiet dude.
Yeah.
They said that somebody was telling me they saw him show up to a jiu-jitsu tournament as a white belt when he was doing jiu-jitsu. And they said parents were getting tossed through the air because here's this guy, he's a monster, and they gave him a white belt. Like, come on, you got to do better than that jiu-jitsu. You got to raise these guys up a little bit.
Well, that's
monsters.
That's the humility, you know what I mean, about our sport. That sometimes it hurts us, but that's just how it is. We're taught to not be those. Some of us more vocal, more out loud, like we're gonna show you instead of talk about it, right?
Yeah, it's awesome.
A lot of the times, especially nowadays with social media and stuff, it kind of hurts our sport a little bit, right? But that's something that we need to, in my opinion, it's an opinion, work on more being a little bit more out there, because that's
Yeah,
that's
I agree.
what sells.
And
That's
and the Bush brothers know that because they're fantastic coaches
correct.
and they know that in order to attract more to their program, they got to come out. Because if you go and train in their room, you'll see how much they love the kids and work for the kids. But enough about that. But South Dade, man. So obviously, what Balmaceda and Duck have done down there is incredible, building that legendary program. And now
Mhm.
you've got Balmaceda train and the Gladiators, and now you got the Miami Wrestling Club coming in, and then okay, let's add girls, right? And it seems like just over the last few years, man, you've really put the girls on the map. The girls are coming with that same toughness, that same mindset, that same
Mhm.
work ethic. It seems like, and you're sneaking up on people right now because people
Mhm.
aren't expecting. Wow, South Dade just won the state the duel at that tournament. South Dade, man, look at those girls. Where they're coming from. Well, another year or two, you're not going to be sneaking up on anybody anymore. You know, how has it been growing that program and now trying to create a dynasty on the female side?
Man, that's a great question. I think like we have expectations as a program. We have expectations, right? And not much. If you go to every successful program, we have expectations, but it's a little unfair a lot of the times for like these girls coming into such a prestigious program like that. I mean, we're talking about that. Give me a second.
No problem.
So it's kind of unfair because a lot of the times we get girls from across the hall. Remember, we haven't reached out to the girls coming up in Gladiator. I mean, those girls are young. You talk Paola Perez, Melissa Gallo, these little girls, Victoria Cifuentes. Like I can go on and name a few girls that are in there now at Gladiator, right? But we haven't gotten those girls yet, right? So we it's been a struggle to really win those matches that you're going against the very best in Florida. Florida's no slouch at the national level. I mean, top four, top five at the national duels like not too long ago, right? We slipped last year a little bit, but I think now the level's getting there like it was before. Um,
5 girls in the Fargo finals.
yeah, exactly. So those girls are coming back home and they're wrestling in the state championship,
Right,
right?
right. Yeah.
Against a girl who started here 2 years ago, but is now a state placer or a contender all of a sudden because of the type of the program that we're in, right? And the state championship is tough. It's not seeded, so you get on the wrong side of the bracket, and man, you go 0-2 barbecue or 1-2, and you're not going to score much points. So it's been tough. It's been tough because we have expectations, and a lot of the times these girls don't feel like they're meeting expectations, right? So I try to remind them that it's a process. Like, Rome wasn't built in one day. South Dade Dynasty wasn't built in one day, So a lot of times it takes a lot to really talk to them into not quitting or into like continuing their career in college because they don't think that they're good enough or they thought they were really good. And then you run into the Claire Buoys, and then you run into the Solarios, and now I got pinned, but I'm supposed to be from South Dade, and they carry that. Like for example, they carry everything, including some of the hate. Like we said, um, uh, people are weird. They love winners, but they hate them too at the same time, right?
Right.
So it's weird, and especially my niece. I mean, my niece was, she was no angel, and this is the reason why we started the program for my niece. And she just had this attitude, this South Dade attitude, and I'm like, hey, you got to calm down. You just started wrestling. Why are you so angry? You know what I mean? Like, so you're gonna make these people hate us like they do the boys. Like now it's starting to be like if you guys win, if you guys lose, I see everybody else in the gym cheering against you. You guys are making and in a way I like it. I love it, right? Because it just shows that we're catching up fast. But in the other, you're gonna have to take that heat. You got to be prepared to. And this is coming from like I think from us men, like teaching girls how to like how it's gonna be in sport. Because I think that the issue right now is that a lot of the girls don't understand how it's been, right? And they don't have to. Let me just say that over there. But a lot of the times, other guys or other men be like, "Well, yeah, that's good," or like for example, the Angel Reese situation in basketball, right? So people were getting upset. She was crying because they lost, and it was she's gonna be the villain, and she's gonna have to be tough, and you can't cry. It's different for girls. We got to start with that. It's a whole different scenario when it comes to coaching girls. I can't coach a girl like I coach a male wrestler, right? So that's been a learning process for me, and it's definitely been a learning process for the girls.
Oh, yeah,
But
they go through different emotions, right? I mean, there's
absolutely,
through high
absolutely,
school the girls go through, and talking to some of the college girls back with COVID when I started this, before obviously now since COVID, everything's become sanctioned, and thank God they're on the fast track. But you would talk to the girls and they would say, it was tough because I'm in a boys' locker room or I'm in a boys' team. It was great because it made me tough, it made me better. But there were emotions that I was having that I can't talk to another boy about, where
mhm,
now that I'm in college, I'm in a girls' room, we can laugh and giggle, or I can lean on them, or I can do some certain things where the conversation doesn't
yeah,
sound weird, right?
yeah, no, absolutely. Well, we've never had that issue. Our girls have always had other girls to go with, right? So because it just as soon as we opened it up, I mean, my niece, like I said before, we started with her, and all of a sudden, 6, 7 girls show up at practice. I was like, what is this? Who invited? I didn't want to really coach anymore. I was retired. I was done. I was like, I'm like, I'm gonna finish off. I just retired from fighting. My wife is tired of this. What are you doing? And all of a sudden, now you're going to give me more responsibility, and it just blew up right now. And now, man, we have some. I'm excited now. And what you just said earlier is just makes a lot of sense. Uh, on the competition side, though, that's what you're still seeing. The girls that are wrestling everybody, not just girls, are the girls that are winning. And I think that that's the formula to not 100% of the time, but what I've learned is that you just wrestle everybody. You just don't wrestle the girls. You try to do, but girls seem to gravitate towards each other in our practice because we don't have that issue. There's a girl here, there's a girl there, there's a girl. We don't have like space in a room. We make it work. I mean, we got that documentary on as a spot on the mat on YouTube, right? So that's been happening ever since the beginning of the program. And now you could imagine now it's now we're gonna have to we use the cafeteria for the JV kids a lot of the times for the new girls. So it's definitely different on the girls side than it is for the boys.
Yeah, so you guys have, and man, that subject we could stay on forever, right? But
Correct.
we've, one thing before I transition is it is way, of course I have two boys and I love all the boys out there, but when you go to a girls tournament or you go to a girls duel, or even for me doing the media days, I go to a girls media day, they just make it so much fun. They just
Mm-hmm.
enjoy life.
Yes.
It's a different feeling you get in the room, and the
Yeah.
aura that's there. It's just super cool. But that being said, we had the second year of, right, the second year of the girls sanctioned state, third year,
Third. Mm-hmm.
and it grew. It's been growing, I think, quickly, and something that I know has been on top of everybody's mind is how can we create the same state dual competition that the boys have, right? Because I think that would be really cool. We have programs starting to grow. Um, a room with Freedom in South Dade and Kansas and Hernando, and we can keep going, right? Would be exciting to see. What is this on the agenda? Has it been brought up to FHSAA? Are there speaks? Is it in the works? What's going on there?
Well, when we started talking about this, when we set up this Elite Eight duels with the Bush brothers, I was trying to I was trying to go out and duel teams. I mean, I would post on social media, hey, anybody want to duel? Not because I was arrogant or anything like that, because I did believe all the whole time and I'm not saying this again to be arrogant, but it's just to believe in my program. I mean, there was some people, including some coaches from my own school, that would say, "Nah, I don't think you can win a dual meet. I don't think so." But they got this girl, they got this girl. But I always knew I've been coaching. My first state girls tournament was at Osceola. That was in 2012 with Carmen Milagros, and she was state runner up. She was unsanctioned, of course, right? But I had the same experience as you did. I believe like I was kind of like worse. I was the most like anti women in sports kind of guy, like competitive sports. And then Coach B said, "Hey, can you take one of our girls to that state championship?" I was a young guy, 5, 6 years out of college. And I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll take her," even though I didn't want to because I didn't like women competing against each other or girls even competing. It just looked weird to me. But man, I had that experience and it just completely changed my outlook on girls wrestling. It completely, I was like, wow, they know how to wrestle and they're tough and at the same time they're vicious on the mat and they know what they're doing. But when they got off the mat and they start dancing together and they start interacting, it was just like hilarious. It was funny and it was fun, the whole thing, right? But when it got down to getting on the mat, they know how to turn it off and on, right? So I think that yeah, it's a whole different feel. But and going back to the question, what can we do? Well, we can get it sanctioned. The numbers will come. Like that's what we were saying about the IBT, right? And there's an article by the AP Associated Press, and it says, "Hey, wrestling was a dying sport," but then the girls showed up. You know what I'm saying? So if it wasn't for the girls sanctioned in a lot of states, our sport wouldn't, I don't know, it wouldn't be as popular as it is today.
Well, didn't it? I mean, from what I understand, it put us back in the Olympics.
Yes, yeah, and that's huge. I mean, you're talking about more numbers, more revenue, more publicity. All that stuff is good, but it's not going to happen. Like I said before, if we sit here and assume that girls don't like to compete, they're human. It's human nature. Yes, we do it for fun, but everybody, like, we're at the end of the day, we're animals, we're mammals, we're civilized though, but we know how to turn it on. And there's no better feeling than imposing your will on another human being. And that's that feeling right there is something that's an outlet from what's going on in your, in your home life or what's going on with your mental health. And you sanction a tournament like ours, like the dual meet, and you'll see those numbers shoot up real quick. Not because so much because it just so happens to be so, but us as coaches as well, we always like to say it's not about the wins and losses, but in reality it is, and we know that, and we can't kid ourselves. We can't, because winning is like it directly correlates what your efforts and what your dedication has been. Not all the time, right? But a lot of the times, if you do the things that you need to do to prepare, right? Just like in life, with your finances, with your health, with everything else that's associated with becoming successful, these same things, like winning, that's going to transfer into the real world. So we want to win. So coaches, what are they going to do? Hey, you see a kid, hey, look, that could be our heavyweight. Hey, look, that could be our the weight that we're missing, because in a dual meet, we might get a forfeit. So we might win. So that's an incentive for coaches, even if they disagree with the woman thing or whatever it is.
Could you imagine how much fun that room would be?
Oh my God. No,
because the men's duels is unbelievable. It's what an experience, right?
I'm telling you.
Could you imagine the girls? We were, I was at Fargo last year. I don't remember. Were you there?
No. 4 of my girls were at Fargo. Yeah.
I was at Fargo last year, and the girls' finals was absolutely insane. Before they wrestled, the girls up in the stands, they were dancing, they were singing, they had Tony Rotundo up on the stage. He started dancing with them, and it was insane. And then fast forward to the boys, it was just like nothing like that. I mean, they would cheer for their people, right? And then the Florida kids and the Georgia kids were cheering, but it was nothing like the dancing and the music and I heard coaches names at USA Wrestling, people that were on the floor say, this is why our sport is going to grow again because
Right.
of these girls. And it resonated because you saw what was going on, and people are going to come for that experience. Little girls are going to see that and go, I want to be that. I want to do that. I want to have
Yeah.
that fun. And
Yeah.
I really think so.
Yeah, Dan, I don't really have to imagine it. I was there. Like I don't really have to like make any hypotheticals. I was already there. We were there at the Elite Eight. That was amazing. That was the most fun I've ever had. And I'm not saying that because we won it. I'm not saying that, you know what I mean? We beat the number 10th or 14th team in the country, right? I'm not saying that because of that. I'm saying because it was literally fun. From the minute that we got there, we had a little mini match with our parents' little babies, a 3-year-old versus the 4-year-old, right? So there's I still see the little one, Paloma, warming up with our girls, and it's like she's getting ready for Nova. She's getting ready for Nova, right? So I send the videos, and everybody was like, I was refereeing before the duel started. And to be frank and completely honest with you, I didn't think that we were going to win it. I mean, I knew we were tough, and I knew that we were always like up and down the lineup, pretty consistent because we're the program, right? And then we don't train separately. We train the same thing. So we always stress that, hey, you learn the same thing as these 24-time state champion boys. So why not you guys? So we always stress that, and they showed up, and that was the best experience team bonding wise we've ever had. You know what I mean? And at the same time, it kills that pressure of that individual bracket. So the girls aren't as serious and they just wrestle. And it was just an amazing experience. And right there and then, even before that, I knew it had to get sanctioned. But right there, I wish we would have had a little bit more coverage. I'm not knocking you for that, by the way. And absolutely not. I know you. I know you guys.
I knew that they asked me to come. They asked me to be there, and
Yeah.
There was, I think I forget the dates it was, but I think my younger son had a wrestling tournament,
Yeah.
Or something that weekend, and I couldn't make it, but I
Yeah.
definitely really wanted to, and unfortunately I didn't. So I tell David, send me dates way in front, way ahead of time, so I can see where I'm at. But
But
yeah, it's been cool.
We'll hold you up to that. We'll hold you and Brett up to that this coming year. So
I definitely want to be there. It just depends, of course, hopefully the little one's not wrestling, right?
yeah,
That weekend,
I completely understand. Listen, I'm not here to chastise anybody. I'm not here.
yeah. Oh, it's
I
good.
know.
It's good because I
Yeah.
think the coverage is good.
Yeah.
I try to put them out there. I try to, post on my Instagram, which is growing, and kind of do things because, I want people to see it. And I try to talk to college coaches throughout the country, and set up girls, put girls' names in there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Not just girls, but girls and boys' names. Hey, have you seen
Yeah.
this kid from Florida? Have you seen this girl from Florida? Have you seen, and we're starting to see those kids get out and get into a college room and start to grow. And I think that's the most important thing is helping those kids out, get to the next level. Because I come across, I'm not obviously no secret. I've always told people I never wrestled. I fell in love with the sport through both my kids. But I come across a lot of kids that I'm talking to, and they're like, well, I don't think I can wrestle at the next level, or I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can do that. Well, have you spoken to any coaches?
Correct.
No, I don't even bother because I don't think. And I'm like, well, a lot of these coaches don't know you exist, or don't see you, or don't, you know, if you're not at these national tournaments all the time, or if you're not doing the things that they're at, they don't see you. But if you pick up the phone and call them, or you send them an email, or you do something, they'll watch you. They'll watch your stuff, and you might be surprised. They might see something you do that works for them and go, you know what? I can develop that. And now you're in, right? So
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily have to be, you don't have to be an NHSCA All-American, a Fargo champ. But we see over the last few years that I've been at Fargo, I see blood round kids get D1 offers.
Yeah. 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 And that's a great point. we just educating the kids on what to expect at the next level, or even like giving them the idea that they belong. I mean, most of our girls only wrestle for 1 year, and we got them. I mean, you had North Central's coach last week or something like that.
Yeah, Zach Cook.
Well, we got Larissa Gallo over there, and
Yeah.
she don't.
Her sister was going to go there too, I thought.
Yeah, but that's part of what I'm saying, that it comes down to offers as well, right? It comes down what you can or you can't afford, and we had spoken about that, and Grandview jumped right on the opportunity. So she's over at Grandview University too, which is one of the top NAIA schools.
Yeah, and that's okay. And
Larissa's
they're both going to develop great, but under Joe Norton and Zach Cook, I think you're going to see and the coaching staff they have there, man, she's going to develop pretty well because they develop champions, right? So we're good. And so do they do at Grandview. I have our release coming on later on this month, and she's awesome. Florida girl that's up there coaching. So that'll be fun. That's up at Grandview coaching. So both programs doing tremendous things. But yeah, it's great to see these girls there, and Florida girls are killing it. But yeah, I'd love to see the duels. I don't know who we'd have to talk to, who we'd have to reach out to, who we could open up the conversation with. I know we see the FHSAA guys all the time at a lot of the district stuff and the regional stuff and the state stuff. And I know, I mean, Lindsay was really, really big in getting girls sanctioned in Florida. So how do we get her to make those same phone calls?
Well, when we're not competing against each other, me and Coach Dahl, we get along great, right? So she's fierce. I mean, I remember in a seating meeting, one of these tournaments, Ponte Vedra, I think it was, like we literally had to paper, rock, scissors for the top seed, right? So you want something to get done, I think we go down that avenue, right? And this is why we had it at Freedom. We had the first Elite 8 duels at Freedom. And David Bush, I mean, he jumped right on it. He's a dog too. I mean, he's like, hey, we'll wrestle you guys. We'll do you guys, And I'm like, at first I wanted to do it just against us and them, right? But then he suggested to doing like the similar to the boys, and I was that's even better. That sounds like a great idea. And we jumped right on it, and it's our girls just love it.
The next Elite 8 duels, I'm sure you guys are going to do it again. We need to reach out to the FHSAA and invite them. Tell them, hey, we'd love to have you guys come down, see how much girls have grown, see that we can do a duel. And so what if it starts out with 4 teams and it grows to 8 teams and it grows? I mean, look at the NCAA football brackets. It was 2 teams and it was 4 teams and it was 8 teams. Now it's 16 teams. And I think it'll grow to where, right now you guys, I don't think you go district, region, finals, right? You go, is it region then finals? How does the girls side work? I think you guys just have do you guys go district, regionals, finals?
Well, for the duels?
No, for the individuals right now, right? Do you still go district, region? Okay.
Yeah, no, district, region, duels. I mean,
I wasn't sure. I remember I wasn't sure if it went from, if you had the one tournament and then it went right to state because of the size, but it's huge now.
We can fill brackets. Absolutely, we can fill brackets. It's tough. It's tough to qualify now. I mean, you're talking about 2 years or 3 years this year, so we can fill the bracket.
I can't wait to see. Yeah, I can't wait to see these young girls. I was at AAU states and I was at IOF states and I was at different tournaments. There's a lot of little girls out there that are coming up that are going to be nasty.
Yeah. I mean, we're worried about the 7th graders. We're worried about the 8th graders right now because they can compete against the high school kids. I mean, right? So imagine when those girls get to like 9th and 10th grade. That's going to be crazy. But back to what you mentioned earlier, like we can fill those teams. I mean, we had full teams going against each other at the elite duels. All right. The only thing the only bad thing about that is that possibly another duel that doesn't have one or two like guaranteed state champ is out of that, right? Because which would be a better dual state because we don't have it sanctioned. So somebody missed out an opportunity last year in the elite duels. I mean, we try to go by rankings, right? By rankings. But we wouldn't have been in a tournament. I mean, we were ranked number 12. We were ranked number 12 at one point, right? And 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 that's like again, it's young and people you don't have as much information. Like Brent says, hey, sometimes I don't get the information right away, so I may make a mistake, and he does, right? So he does.
Yeah.
So
Well, he says it. He says it publicly. He says, "Look, I get yelled at for certain things, or I'll have a parent call me, but the coach never sent me anything, so I had no
right,
idea." And he sends emails out to every single coach. He sends email, you know that he sends email out to everybody, but
he
he
does.
doesn't. Sometimes he doesn't get stuff, and then he'll set up his rankings, or he'll set
Yeah,
up his predictions, or he'll set up his story,
yeah,
and maybe girl A or boy A isn't in the story, and he gets those DMs and that stuff, and he's like, I didn't know they wrestled, or I didn't know this. And then of course there's that
yeah,
whole thing, well, come on, you've been around it long enough, Brant. You know what's going on. But if they don't, if you saw what this guy does behind the scenes, or if you saw what like a Jason Fulmore at SC Wrestle, their spreadsheets and their research and their writing, it's a lot. And then to also say, hey, why didn't you pay attention to the tournament that happened at ABC in the middle of nowhere, Florida, where Johnny somebody was wrestling? He's like, I just it wasn't on track. It wasn't anywhere else. You guys did it by paper. I never heard of it,
yeah,
and he'll get chastised for it. He's like, but yeah, and then also he makes mistakes, right? Like everybody
yeah,
else. Like, listen, he'll be the first one. He's got those stickers, right, that say I proved Cabra wrong.
yeah, yeah.
It's perfect. He
But
hopes you prove him wrong.
and it's fun. At the end of the
Right.
day, it's really fun. It's like, hey, Brent, you put Lake Gibson's picture when it was us, and I was like, he was like, hey, I was pissed. I was like, hey, but then I remember, I was. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm like, hey, look,
Yeah.
but you had Omi on last week, and I taught Omi. I'm not. I always used to tell Omi, hey, look, be reflective. You know, Omi comes to me. I'm a sociology and anthropology major, so I kind of learned about dealing with society and stuff like that. He would come and ask me for advice, and I was like, hey, look, Omi, what you need to do is like just if be more reflective. Be Hey, look, did I come off as angry? Did I come off as like not liking the guy or the person, right? And I heard him saying, well, I got to work on that too, right? So a
Right.
lot of the time we get caught up with like the emotions of sport and stuff like that, but then we have to remember, hey, man, this is fun. This is competition, you know. And as a coach, I'm like, I told him, hey, Brad, anytime you need a picture of us, right, you can reach out and I'll give you a picture. They'll put like Gibsons. They have enough pictures. They win a lot anyway, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. It's
so
true. I always share my links with him. So I'll tell him,
yeah,
always like at the state tournament, I made him a free code. I made Jason a free code so that they could have access to all the photos that they can use for
right,
different stories and stuff.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's been
It's our
fun,
job.
man.
It's and at the end of the day, it falls down on us. We want to grow the sport, and we want things to get it done. We have to strap up the boots, and we have to go to work. We have to go and advocate for it, but we can't do it in a way where it's gonna hurt our community too. We can't do it and say, "Hey, Brent, you're this or you're that or you're biased, you're this." No,
Yeah.
even though the parents might get in your ear and say, "Hey, my girl, she's better than her, or he's better than," you know what I mean? We can't do that. We have to work together
Right.
and
Yeah, and the best is because when he does these, when you're doing these rankings, he's doing in season stuff, right?
yeah,
So
uh-huh.
let's say your girl, your 113 or whatever, beat Mater Lakes 113 in a little AAU tournament or a USA Team Florida tournament in the off season in a little gym, whatever, right? Well,
Mm,
now it's the season. Now that Major Lakes girl beat your girl
Mhm.
in the season, and now
Right.
she comes out ranked above, but then the parent will say, wait a second, but my girl beat her back on June 13th in Gym A. Well, we're not taking that into account. We're taking the season into account, right? So as far as the season is concerned, right now you're 0-1 against her, right? So get that win back and I'll move you right back up, right? So
Let me let
sometimes
me
you see that as well.
yeah, let me this is a reflective moment for you. And I know
Yeah,
I'm asking for opinions as well, because I like to, because we actually, me and Brett, we had that conversation, right? When
right.
we were I seen a wrestler, right? One of my girls that plays, she was an All-American in the NHSAA, right? And there was girls in the bracket that beat her at the state tournament. But the national tournament was, I'm gonna say, tougher, because some of the state placers, state
Sure.
champ, didn't place in that tournament. They went 0-2, 1-2. As a matter of fact, one of the girls who 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 she lost to, the other girl, my girl, beat the girl who beat the girl, right?
Right.
So in those regards, how would you do that? How would you rank
Right.
my girl on top of her, or would you go back to the state tournament? Do you
Well,
count
I
as
think,
recent?
yeah, so I think talking to him, he does take that into consideration as far as like wins and like losses. So if they've maybe they haven't wrestled, right? And then
I'm asking you
I
because
think I would rank coming out of the NHSCA if she's I mean I would rank her higher.
right, right.
I would rank her higher because if there were wins and losses that were comparable. So you're saying if girl A beat the girl that beat girl B,
Hmm.
well that's something, right? If they
Yeah,
both if girl A beat girl B at the state tournament and one was at the bottom of the bracket, one was at the top bracket, they didn't face each other or any like people, but this one made it past the blood round, but this one got beaten in the blood round. Maybe that's a chance where you say, okay, well, on head to head, this girl had won, but we haven't seen them face each other again. So maybe
since
that's a consideration. But if they're on the same side of the bracket and they're facing the same girls, and yeah, I think I would have to put the girl on
on
top. I
top.
think, yeah. So I
Yeah.
think that's what I would do. Now, again, I don't try to be them, and a lot of people over the years have reached out to me to do rankings, and you know
Hmm.
what I say? Hell no. And
Why is
they're
that?
like, they're like, why is that? I say, because everybody, first of all, we have a guy that does rankings, which is Brant, and he's been doing it since Orlando Sentinel, and he's been doing it all the time. He's been doing that. Then
And
you've got,
he's doing a
and does a
great
great
job.
job, right?
Yeah.
And then, and most people, that's the law of our state, right? They go by the Brant's things, right? Well, then you have uh, the Florida Wrestling Room who has started rankings, right? And that's
Mhm.
great. So good. Here's another ranking, right? And they do their rankings their own way, and good for them. How many rankers do we need to rank kids, right? So,
Right.
and then I think people also go after rankings to try to, as a way to maybe monetize themselves. So they go and
Mm,
they start the rankings to be able to get people maybe as clickbait, more people to come on their sites, more
yeah,
people to do certain things
absolutely.
because you're really pulling on the heartstrings of the parents and the kids because they want to see that stuff. But then
Yeah.
when you talk to, but then ultimately, when I talk to someone like you or Balmaceda or Coach Mick at Southwest or Coach Danny Walker or Coach Palat, or I could keep going, right? Coach Tony Cerulo, anybody, you know what they say to me about rankings? That shit don't matter. We still got to
Mm,
go wrestle.
mm,
So, but for the kids, it's a beautiful thing because we were all young athletes. I didn't wrestle, but I played tennis or basketball or baseball or sports. And we used to look at the newspaper and see if our name got put in there. We used to look to
yeah.
see if we're up there. We used to look to see who's the team that's better than us, who's the kid that's better than us. Yeah, as kids, we love to see that. And I'm not going to lie, when Daniel first made he was the last person in the rankings one year. He just broke in. Yeah, as a
Mhm.
parent, you get joy, right? Because you
Right, correct.
see you see that his hard work is accomplished. But I
Yeah.
don't want to. I just feel like you create a lot of animosity, and these guys are working hard. You know, any of these guys that are doing rankings, they're working hard, right? And they're putting a lot of effort into it, and it's a lot of work. But
Yeah.
I don't want to. I never felt like everything I want to do it for the right reasons, right?
Right. Right.
So I
Right.
don't think deep in my heart of hearts, I could do rankings for the right reason because I feel like, okay, well, here's a Southwest kid, here's a Doral kid, here's a South Dade kid, here's a Somerset kid, and man, well, their parents, man, they always feed me and treat me good. You know, I love their
Yeah.
parents. I'm gonna put their kid
You're
up in the
looking out for the
rankings high.
food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm
That's
like,
good strategy.
how could I do this? I couldn't
Yeah.
do this and
No,
be
no fight for
truthful to
you.
myself. No
Yeah.
fight. I'd be like, oh man, well, man, Mick just had me in, and I shot media for like 80 of his kids, man. You know what? I'm going to give his kid a bump on the rankings, right? Like, I
Right.
don't think I
Right.
could do it for the
Right.
right,
Yeah.
right. So
Wow.
I would definitely be really bad at it. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So I just I can't do it. Now we can talk rankings. I'm happy to say, hey, we saw these kids. Who do you think is better? Who do you think is worse? And we could discuss. But I don't think I could. I even when I do pictures. So when I come and take pictures uh, at a tournament, there's times that I'm like, oh man, I really like that girl, or I really like that boy. I better not do him dirty, right?
Mhm. No,
But then
with the pictures. No, but you guys do amazing. You
sometimes
do you
sometimes
do
I'm like,
amazing.
man, but I got to put the picture out there because I feel bad. But there's two people in a wrestling match, right?
Yeah.
And they both want pictures. They both want the memory.
Right.
Unfortunately, one person's memory is another person's done dirty, right? Because
Right.
if you're getting tossed and I'm catching that picture, you're making the highlight
Yeah.
reel, right? You're
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
page, right? Or if you're getting pinned, that you're on the page, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's tough. A funny story is there's a new Publix that was built at my house by my house, right? Because we need about 7 of those in each neighborhood these days. So we got a new Publix that got built. The kids asked me, "Hey, can you stop and get me subs?" And this was, I think I was coming home from, I forget what tournament I was coming home from. Well, I walk in and I get a sub and I have my Ward Wrestling hoodie on. So I go up and the guy asks what I want. And then he looks at me and he goes, "You work for Ward Wrestling?" And
There you go.
I'm like, no, I am Ward Wrestling, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, man, you did me dirty at the state tournament, man.
Oh
You put
man.
me on your page. I was in a cradle.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, can you get someone else to make my sandwich? And, like, and then so I pulled out one of my "You Got Done Dirty" stickers and I gave it to him, and we started talking a little bit. It was all cool
Right.
and a good jest, but to me, it was kind of humbling because I'm like, oh damn, they know who I am, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and it was funny. So yeah, it would be tough. I mean, I've had it over the years where people have said you want to do rankings and stuff, and I just want to stay away from it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but that's tough. I mean, you're doing a great job, Dan. I did journalism a little bit at Eastern Illinois University a little bit. I wrote for the newspaper, and it's a tough industry, and but it is humbling. You're doing a great job, and you're right. Like I feel a little like when it's just awkward a lot of the times because you want to put your kids out there, but at the same time, you know that you have to take into consideration that this was somebody else's kid, right?
Right.
Like that stuff happened with the twirly bird on the Florida page, right? Like people were putting people that were doing the twirly bird, like something like that. Um, but yeah, we have to remember that that we need the coverage. I mean, we can't take these things like so personal, right? Like we have to
Right.
accept the good with the bad, and let's just hope that that any attention is good attention, right?
Which is
That's
why I did the stickers. I did the dirty stickers now because I was like, you know what? I'm going to turn it into something fun. So now the
yeah.
kids are like,
Where's
I
my
had a
sticker?
coach. Yeah, I had the coach tell. Yeah, I had the coach tell me, man, you know, you come in when they see you at a tournament, Like, oh man, Ward's here. You better not wrestle bad, or else you're gonna get put on blast, right? You're gonna get done
I
dirty.
think that's on the
So
I think that's on the boy side though, because when it's on the girl side, they won't take it the same. They'll be like, oh. So,
yeah, they get mad. Or I tried to hand him a sticker. I think I tried to give Gunnar Holland a sticker once, and he's like, "Man, I ain't taking that sticker." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Man, because I didn't get done dirty." I'm like, "All right, so don't take the sticker." But then he'll take a stack of stickers to stick it on people's backs and have fun with it.
right.
But yeah, I just want to do something fun. I just want to get out there and have a good time. Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, but you guys down at South Dade, man, you guys have really built something special, and it's consistent. Like you don't see. I mean, at least in my time, in the last or since COVID, I've been around. It's been consistent. I mean, there was one year where Blaine Eisen over at P Ridge came up to 3A and had that freaking super team for duels and was able to knock South Dade off that one year. But for the most part, it's been consistent. It's been
yeah.
consistent. It's like, are they breeding them in the back room and they're just coming up, or that
You
program's
know,
just special. So
you know what the secret is there's no secret. It's consistency. That's all it is. That really is the secret ingredient. And a lot of the times, as people, we don't want to go 3 hours, every single day and then go to tournaments on the weekend. We don't want to do that. But we remember like the lessons that Coach B brought to this community in the 90s, right? And we were like, well, if we want to do that, right? And we're gonna have to do the same thing. We're gonna have to keep it going, and that's what's been happening. I mean, this is certainly not all my doing. I mean, Coach B had his hand in it, Duck, and somebody who I think, and not to say he's a very, very humble guy, who doesn't get enough credit for everything, boys and girls alike, is my assistant. I don't even like to say my assistant coach, but our coach, our co-head coach, Coach Hernandez, Alex Hernandez. That guy is just a grinder, man. He doesn't stop. He's just the pure. When you think Pat Lugo, when you think like who are like the hard nosed guys, Shy Hill, when you get guys like that, you got to include Alex in that bunch of like greats of our time. Two-time state champion, two-time Division I qualifier at NC State, and now we're like, and that's a girl assistant coach, and that's crazy, right? So, to us, like he's brought over a lot of like things that like you said, we're not going to be surprising people anymore. I mean, we're already there. We have so many girls ranked right now. We haven't stopped working since state. And they're pissed. They're mad. And this is just to make it more interesting for next year. When Hernando won it, right? Well, we beat Hernando in the dual meet, and then they won it, and then we congratulated them. We said, "Hey, look, hey, we want to send out like congratulations, right?" But then I think they posted, "We are state champions" on their page.
yeah, we are
And
South Dade, right?
yeah. So if they knew what they were doing, like they struck a nerve with the girls, and my girls said, "Are they trolling us? Are they trolling us?"
Yeah. Hey, look,
And that right there, that's a
uh,
good
that
that's a
got you
good thing.
fired up. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a good thing.
Prince is doing a fantastic job up there, man. He's
Yeah.
such a good dude. Matter of fact, one of those state champ shirts, they just sent it to me. I got it in the mail yesterday. So
If they
that
go
was
ahead and
nice of
make
them.
we are
We are state champ.
state champs. Oh no, it's on. I got
Yeah, it's on now. Yeah. Yeah. You're gonna
but
call
that
them up. You should call them up and be like, hey, we got a room down here. It's private. We just want to work. You and me, your team, our team, get them down here. Let's go at it.
we won already though. We won the dual meet, right? So not our teams against each other. We won that. We know that. So I give the girls, hey, but we beat them in a duel, right? So like I'm pretty sure that Dr. Phillips is going to tell you that they're 18-time state champions, even though it wasn't sanctioned. It was legit. You legitimately beat them in a dual meet, right? So they get kind of like, okay, coach, okay, all right, but that's a good thing. I love that. I love that because that told them, hey, look, why are you guys complaining? Like they got it done. They got it done, so they can put whatever they want on their shirts. And all
Right.
you got to what you guys got to do is go out there this year, work your butts off, and it's showing. Like, so we're excited for next year. So that right
And
there,
go get your shirts that say we are
yes,
state champs, right?
yeah, we are South Dade and we are the state champs. Finally, what I've been seeing though is I've been seeing the teams that Monica, can you get the teams that have been putting in the work. Those are the teams that have been winning, right? And they're getting their coins. I mean, Matanzas, Coach White isn't there anymore, but he built that program up great, right? Freedom, Coach Lindsay with Freedom. Who else won it? It was Freedom, Matanzas, and I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. Freedom, Matanzas. Who was the third team that won it? I should know this off the top of my head.
The first year,
The first year was Freedom, correct?
right? The
Yeah,
first year was Freedom.
first year was Freedom.
This
Second,
year was this year.
Matanzas and now Hernando. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we're seeing the teams that have been around that had girls, they're winning because it's tough to win a state title. You just don't know how tough it is until you have to like actually build the thing from scratch
Well,
and
and it's different in the IBT. Like, I mean, the year that we
quite
saw
different.
Ison win the duel, we saw South Dade turn around and win the IBT.
Correct.
Because
Yeah,
when I talked to Omi about winning the IBT national championship a few years ago when he stopped that streak of Grandview, and he said we didn't win it on the front side, we won it on the back side. We had to
backside.
get
Yes.
there. We had to get those kids' minds right,
Yep.
but to work through the backside, because a lot of times you lose that kid once they
Yeah.
lose on the front side, that air comes out of their sails and they go to
Yeah.
the backside and they're like they just blow it off, right? And we had to get
Definitely.
them ready. And I think that's where you saw South Dade do that. I mean, a few years, same thing. I mean, Southwest was up big. Coach Vic does a great job over there, and then South Dade just clawed their ways back. And um, you see that at the IBT, where at the duel, like you said, with the duel, it's us versus you. It's a match, one match at a time. There's no hiding. There's no anything. It's boom, boom, right?
No,
So good
let's
stuff.
say that same scenario plays out. Let's say that same scenario plays out. You lost against a team that's probably not going to win the dual tournament, right? But then you got the number 10th ranked team in the country, ninth now, I think. Hey, your teammates in the IBT might be getting ready for their own stuff, ready to go. They might be spread out in the gym. But this time around, they all come together and say, hey, we need you. So it's not only the coach telling that wrestler that, it's the rest of the teammates. So it makes everybody less selfish, right? They become selfless at that point, and they're like, hey, look, these guys, I may be the determining factor in winning this tournament. So let's say you go 0-2. You win that duel that gave you the win to win the dual state championship, right? And you're the hero. So it's like,
It's so close. I mean, I talked to my sons at North Central. They lost the duel to Iowa on criteria by 2 points. They lost the IBT to Iowa by, I think it was 6 or 5. And he'll tell you if one more girl gets to the semifinal, if one more girl does this, if one more move happens, that's how close we were.
yeah,
And it's crazy how that works, right? So you could be. I mean, look at what did we see this year with was it Mater? Was it Mater Lakes and Somerset, where it came down to that last heavy, almost it was a 2:15 match or something, or it came down to
yeah.
one match in the finals, and Somerset pulled it off. But yeah, I mean, it's one way or the other. But man, I've got someone coming on at 10, so I gotta wrap it up. But I could sit here and talk to you forever, man. I really appreciate you coming on. I'll get this up for us, and we'll get it shared. And anytime you want to come on, any of your girls want to come on, man, give them my link. I'd be happy to have her.
Well, thanks, Dan, but they're not gonna want to come on if you put Lady Pirates. It's Lady Bucks.
Oh,
There's The Pirates are
Well,
Mateo, you know,
oh well,
but I'll tell him, hey, suck it up, Buttercup. You better. That's fine. No,
oh,
I'm kidding.
you should have
But
told me at the beginning. I would have
I
changed
am
it.
my fault, my fault. You know, no, but we
You know
got into
what? When I
it,
do
it.
the editing, I'll put Lady Bucks up there.
There you go. All right, say yeah, you got. I'm gonna get. You owe me a sticker. You got
I owe
done
you a
dirty.
sticker. I got done dirty. That's right. Lady Pirates.
There
Why did
you
I
go.
think Pirate? It is the Buccaneers, right?
It's Buccaneers, yeah.
Yeah, I
Lady.
should know that. Boy, Balmaceda's going to bust my balls.
Yeah, there you go. No, but we appreciate you, Dan. Thanks for having me, man. Like I said before, if it wasn't for you and Brent, like we wouldn't even be where we're at. And you guys are doing an amazing job. You're growing, you're killing it. So just keep it going. And again, we're all rooting for you guys. You know, even though it may seem a little. Tell Brent whenever he comes on that it may seem like people are upset with him, but we love him and we appreciate him. You know what I mean?
All
All
right,
right.
thank you. I'll see you at Spartan.
Thank you so much, Dan. See
All
ya.
right, buddy.